In the days when Augustus ruled the Roman world, when kings and emperors believed their power reached beyond the stars, a quiet miracle unfolded in the small town of Bethlehem, a village barely known beyond the borders of Judea. It was a time of restless waiting, a time when the people of Israel looked toward the heavens for a sign, a flicker of hope to break the darkness that had fallen over their land. In the silence of the night, hearts are torn, waiting for a king where the hope seems worn. Dust in the streets, but the heavens ignite. A star whispers secrets in the stillness of light. On a cold night, in a stable filled with the earthy smell of animals and hay, a child was born. The world did not yet know his name, but his birth was whispered among shepherds on nearby hills and recorded by the stars that shone above. For in the heavens a new star had appeared, a star that moved with purpose and intention, leading the wise to the place where the child lay. His mother, Mary, young but full of grace, cradled him in her arms, and beside her stood Joseph, a man of quiet strength and deep faith, watching over his family as the world outside moved unaware of the miracle unfolding in their midst. Under the sky where the shepherds roam, a humble king finds his first home. The stars align, the heavens sigh, for in the cradle sleeps the One Most High. This was no ordinary birth. Angels had already heralded his coming, and prophecies long spoken among the Israelites were now fulfilled. From the beginning, there were signs that this child was different, that his life would be marked by divine purpose. The shepherds were the first to hear the news, told by a host of angels singing in the skies. They came in haste, kneeling before the newborn king, not in a palace, but in a simple stable in a town few regarded. The humble bow, with trembling hands, no crowns of gold, no royal lands. But in this place of earth and clay, heaven and earth begin to sway. Then came the Magi, wise men from the east who had followed the star for many days. They brought gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, offerings fit for a king. But more than that, symbols of the life that lay ahead, gold for his kingship, frankincense for his priesthood, and myrrh, the bitter perfume of death, foretelling the suffering that would one day come. From distant lands with treasures bright, they followed the star through endless night, gold for a crown, but tears in the wind, for the path of this child has sorrow pinned. These were holy and wondrous signs, but not all who observed them rejoiced. In Jerusalem, not far from where the child was born, King Herod, seated upon his throne, heard troubling news. The Magi, in their innocence, had come to him seeking the newborn king, asking, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him." Herod's heart is heavy, his kingdom is a lie, whispers of another king beneath the same sky. The throne he grips will never be his own, a tyrant's fear, a kingdom overthrown. Herod, though cunning, trembled at their words. King of the Jews, he thought himself the only ruler of the land, placed there by the might of Rome. How could there be another? His fear turned quickly to rage, and he devised a plan to ensure that no such king would rise to challenge him. He instructed the Magi to return once they had found the child, so that he too might worship this new king. But in his heart he harbored darker intentions. Death, not homage. A crown made of shadows, a heart full of stone. Herod seeks the light to claim as his own. But the stars have secrets he can't understand. The child's protected by a mightier hand. The Magi, warned in a dream of Herod's treachery, departed another way, avoiding the palace and slipping out of Judea without alerting the paranoid king. Yet Herod, suspicious and cunning, soon realized they would not return. His rage knew no bounds. He ordered his soldiers to Bethlehem with a terrible decree, to slaughter every male child under 2 years of age, a brutal act meant to extinguish the light of the one child whom he feared. The streets run red with the innocent's cry. Herod's soldiers chase the stars in the sky. But the child they seek has gone unseen, led by a dream and a light between. But God's plan cannot be thwarted by the will of men, no matter how powerful they claim to be. And so, on another quiet night, as Mary and Joseph slept, an angel appeared to Joseph in a dream. The angel's voice was clear and urgent. "Rise, Joseph, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt. Herod seeks to destroy the boy, and you must go at once, for danger is near." In dreams the angels speak, a voice like flame, "Rise and run, for the hour is grave." Through the shadows of night they flee unseen, on a path ordained by the divine dream. Joseph woke in a cold sweat, his heart racing. He had learned to trust the voice of God, even when the path seemed uncertain. Without hesitation, he rose and gently woke Mary. "We must leave now," he whispered, his voice calm but firm, though his heart was heavy with worry. Mary did not question him, for she too had felt the hand of God guiding them since the day the angel Gabriel had visited her. She quickly gathered the few belongings they had, while Joseph prepared their donkey. The child, now sleeping peacefully in Mary's arms, was their only thought as they left behind the stable, their village, and all that was familiar to them. With hurried steps they leave the night, guided by faith, not earthly sight. In Joseph's heart the weight is strong, but God will guide them through the dawn. They traveled through the night, with only the stars to guide them, the same stars that had heralded the child's birth now lighting their way to safety. The road was long, and the dangers were many, for the soldiers of Herod moved swiftly through the land, carrying out his wicked orders. In Bethlehem, the cries of mothers filled the streets as their children were torn from their arms. Herod's men showed no mercy, and the blood of the innocents stained the ground. The road is long beneath the cold starlight, each step a prayer, each breath a fight. Behind them the cries, ahead lies the sand, but God's own child is safe in his hands. But God's hand was upon the Holy Family, their path was clear, and though the desert loomed ahead with all its perils and harshness, they pressed on, trusting in the divine protection that had guided them thus far. The heat of the sun beat down upon them as they crossed into Egypt, a land foreign to their people but foretold by the prophets. Through desert winds and burning skies, they walk by faith, though the sun may rise. Out of Egypt, the prophets proclaimed, the sun will return, his future unchained. In Egypt they found refuge, a land once filled with idols and false gods, now unknowingly harboring the living God in their midst. The prophecy was fulfilled. Out of Egypt I have called my son. Yet this was not a triumphant call, but one made in the midst of hardship, in the face of danger. Jesus' life had only just begun, and already the world sought to silence him. But Herod's power, though great, was no match for the will of God. For in the boy Jesus lay the future of all creation, and no tyrant, no earthly king could alter what had been set in motion. From Egypt's land a call was made. In humble refuge the boy was laid. No king's decree could break the plan, for heaven's hope was born in man. As Mary and Joseph settled in Egypt, far from their home, they lived in quiet exile. They were strangers in a strange land, but they were safe. And though Joseph worked with his hands as a carpenter, each day was filled with prayer and watchful waiting, for they knew the time would come when they could return to their land. In foreign lands they found their peace, each prayer a hope that would not cease. With hands that built and hearts that prayed, they trusted in the path God laid. This, then, is how the life of Jesus began, under the stars of Bethlehem, in the shadow of kings who sought his life, but shielded by the hand of God. For though danger surrounded him, and Herod's soldiers darkened the streets of Bethlehem with blood, the child was protected by divine will, his path secured by the intervention of angels, his future written in the heavens. Through the trials of exile, the Holy Family remained steadfast, knowing that the boy they carried in their arms was not just a son, but the Son, destined to carry the hopes of the world. Beneath the stars his journey starts, though shadows threatened, grace imparts. In humble arms the future lay, a king protected night and day. And so the child slept, unaware of the dangers he had escaped, unaware of the power within him, but already watched over by the God who had sent him to earth. This was only the beginning of a long journey, a journey that would see him grow in wisdom and strength, facing dangers far greater than Herod's blade, but always, always under the protection of the divine. He sleeps, unknowing of the strife, of kings who feared his coming life. Yet heaven watched with love unseen upon this child, both man and dream.